Hi, my name is Holly Dill, and I learned that when I have a challenge, like say our current traumatic experience, I tend to resort to risk assessment first. So my brain goes automatically to worst case scenarios and what can I do about them? But before I get to the solutions of what can I do about them, I need to know what each pros and cons are, what each option has an additional risk, and so forth. So I realized that when I try to go through that communication process with other people, not knowing that that's where I'm at in my communication process, it can sound like I am too dramatic or too sensitive or just, yeah, making a bigger deal of it than it is, or just doomsday or any of that kind of thing. Like it can sound very like negative to other people. And really, my brain is just trying to evaluate the best course of action. It's not that I am trying to be in a freeze or collapse mode that usually comes after I've already done the fighting and the flighting of that traumatic response. Also, fight, flight, freeze, and collapse, those are coping methods that are designed to help keep you safe and protected. So if you feel like you are going to that place often in your mind, um, you've probably been going through some things. And I learned about this thing called amygdala hijacking. Amygdala is the part of the back, it's like back here in your brain, and it's the part that operates that fight, flight, freeze, or collapse mode. It's that survival mechanism. And I think for some of us, when we've been through like one thing after another, we just haven't really fully caught our breath. And so sometimes things can make it go like alarm bells, and we wonder, is this actually as bad as it feels, or am I just actually just doing what they think I'm doing, which is going to worst case scenario and just like blowing it out of proportion or something. And it's funny because one of my friends actually pointed out that when I was living in my vehicle years ago, he thought I was like still really positive, and I was like, huh, that's one of the best compliments because it's such a challenging place to be sometimes. Like I made the most of it. I tried to make the most of it. I tried to be like, okay, venture nomad, and like I called it venture gypsy originally, but a venture nomad, and just like make it more and more like my home that I wanted this to be. And it's made me get like a little bit closer to what I want, but it really does take that mental effort, and that can be really exhausting, especially because I probably have ADHD as well, or at least symptoms such as task paralysis, time blindness, overwhelm, etc. So with all of that in mind, I just realized that like I really don't give myself enough grace, for one, and for two, I'm often misunderstood, and I think it's because I'm not part of that risk assessment is figuring out like who am I talking to, and what do I want from that person that they can actually give me, and if so, if I'm aware of what that is, then how do I communicate that in a way that they can be responsive and actually provide those things. And that sometimes means opening up the conversation with, hey, are you available for X amount of time for me to vent? Or, like I'll say, hey, what's your time frame like? So that I know, like, don't just trauma dump, or don't just like throw it out there without them having some kind of a heads up of what they're supposed to be gurgitating. Because it's easy to make friends and try to be like just share everything. I think that's another like neurodivergent thing. We like overshare sometimes when it's inappropriate, and it makes it seem like we're making it about us, and really it's just us trying to be relatable, or just like, oh yeah, I know about this thing, so let me share what I know so that you don't have to go through it as difficult as I did. And yet we also hate, or at least I don't like, unsolicited advice. It's like, maybe listen to what I've already been doing first before you tell me to do the thing that I've already tried, and that's what's making me frustrated. So yeah, that's a little bit of like how I've been learning to like cope through things, and just realize like what my communication style is and why sometimes it doesn't work as well as I want it to. And I think it's because other people aren't necessarily as much on the same page in that style of communication, or as self-aware, or even as mature, which I don't really want to say because it makes it sound like I have an ego and like a pride thing. But realistically, there are some people that just aren't as emotionally intelligent, and they just aren't going to be able to show you the same kind of compassion and effort to seek understanding as you would like. And I do the same thing sometimes, where I'm not asking the right questions to get curious about the other person instead of just being automatically defensive. And that's what I tend to do. So, anywho, have a great day, guys.